All right, folks, so we're back again for the third installment. This time we are tracing the Batman logo. So let's take a look in week 4 or 5 or wherever it may be in Schoology at the time. But we're looking at session 2, shape building and tracing practice. Okay, within this lesson, we've got a series of images that we're going to learn how to trace, and we're using specific, tools and shapes to do so. For the Android, we used just ellipses, or I'm sorry, rounded rectangles was the challenge. For the Twitter bird, we used the pen tool, and this was a good one because of the corner points and smooth points that you would need. All right, and also just learning how to use that powerful pen tool in the first place. This one's going to be different. We're going to use just ellipses to make this, and you probably can see just how that might work. Now, we will use a couple other tools to make some specific parts, but mostly this will be ellipses. All right. So hopefully you've already downloaded all the files. We're only going to need the Batman one, so let's get started. All right, this is another look at the instruction sheet. Reminder that it does tell you how to submit this at the end, and I will have a video for that. All right, in Illustrator, so this is where we started. Here's the Android. My Android wears pants. We then created another artboard for our Twitter bird, and so you can see I've changed the color here, and I'll turn that off so you can see what was traced. I'll also turn off the template so you can see just that. And I like to work actually with no stroke. So I'm going to enable the stroke and I'm going to turn it off by using none. And I'll switch back to fill so that I can change that if I want to. And I can go in here and look at the library of colors and maybe get some different colors here. I'll go with nature and maybe some, oh, lost it. Um, actually patterns, nature, and we'll do animal skins. So let's see, like a zebra. I don't know, what would that be? What's animal is that? Tiger. Oh, that's supposed to be tiger. That's weird. Um, what's this? Giraffe. Okay. Today, the Twitter bird is a giraffe. All right, so just, feel free to mess around with it. Don't think that because we do these that they have to stay as is. Feel free to mess around with it, make copies, turn it into a symbol, whatever works best for you. Okay. But we are going to start a new artboard. So let's go to File, New. And guess what? My panel is over on the other side. Give me a second here. I'm going to fix that. This is what happens when you have three monitors. Remember, we are going to make a new artboard here. So once you select File and New, you're going to see that new document window. Let's start with choosing Art and Illustration as your profile. Once you choose Art and Illustration, there should be a 1280 by 1024 preset in there that you can choose. All right, so there's my window. And I'll choose Art and Illustration and then 1280, 1024. We're going to go ahead and name this exercise 3. I like to use underscore, so I'm going to say underscore my last name, Newman. I'm going to go ahead and change my units to pixels. And I'm actually going to leave it as a landscape. I think I left all of them as landscape. So check that the profile is art and illustration. The preset is 1280 1024. We are using pixels. You should have named it. It's exercise 3. And choose your orientation. If you want to go the opposite way, that's fine. And let's choose create. All right, now I can bring my window back over. There we go. I'm going to put away this pattern right here. There we go. Okay. So there's my new artboard, exercise 3. And the next thing that I want to do is go ahead and put in my template. So file, remember we're using place. You're going to navigate to your project folder in illustration and find exercise 3, which is the Batman logo. Select it once, okay? What's up, Sky? And then check to make sure that both link and template are selected. Make sure those are both on. And now you can hit place. Not bad, but we can make it bigger. Always try to get your tracing to be as large as you need it. In this case, we can go the max here. So I'm just going to zoom out a bit. I'm then going to go to the layers panel and check that out. And we remember that templates look special, but we need to unlock it if we want to do any resizing, in which at this time you want to use Shift and Alt. I'm just going to make what I'm tracing fit the artboard. The black lines represent the artboard. I think that's good. Got to make sure we lock that back. Lock it back. If you don't lock it back, you're going to accidentally put all your work on that template layer. And then later on, I've seen it happen. You're going to delete that template layer because you're done. And guess what? All your work's going to go with it. I have seen it happen. So check that out. You know, the image is bigger than the artboard. The black lines represent the limits there. So just make sure your artwork fits that if, you know, there's nothing else that you need to take up that space with. After I lock the template layer back, I'm going to go ahead and name the layer where I am going to place my content. I just call it trace. I'm going to grab the ellipse tool. Remember, that was the challenge here. So let's consider this. Here's a plan here. I'm looking at an ellipse here for the backdrop. I'm also thinking that maybe using a stroke weight on this will give us the dark outline right here. So really, the backdrop is just one ellipse with a really high weight on the stroke there. So let's consider that. All right. Now I'm going to find the center, and luckily our guides do a good job of that. So I'm just going to take the ellipse tool and put that in the center. I have my ellipse set to a white fill and black outline, so I'm okay with that. We don't need shift because remember this isn't a perfect circle, but we do need alt because that will lock it in the center, and then we can, whoops, try that again. There we go. I'm just going to stretch out to where I see, yeah, that's a good fit. Or actually, I'm trying to get the yellow one, right? Remember that. Wow, that worked out perfectly. So um, you can check it out, like select your shape, maybe turn off the fill so that you can see where your lines are. Okay. Notice that I took the inside, and I think you're going to like why I did that. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. So try to fit it on the inside. Remember, we're focusing on the yellow ellipse right there. All right, so check this out. With it selected, if you were able to match it on the inside, and let me make this a different color so you can see it better maybe. I'll go with like a lime color. And is that a little bit better? Let's see. Yeah, so you can like see the lines, yellow lime color. Um, so now that I've got that on there, zoom in a bit more. Let's consider how we can put this outer black line on there. So we can actually go to the stroke panel by selecting stroke from options right here. This is your options bar. In there, there's a stroke word, and it's actually a link. It goes to the stroke panel. And in here, we can set the weight. But if we do that, remember it expands from both sides of the path. So how are we going to get it to expand outward? Well, if we look at the settings here, you're going to see that there's something called align stroke. And you can align it inside, you can align it outside. So I think we'll choose outside and watch what happens as I increase the weight. You'll see that the stroke goes outward and I can fill and match. There you go. Looks like it took me to 25. Okay. That's for mine. I don't know what it would be for yours. Maybe you did a different size. All right, so the background is now taken care of. I'll go ahead and give it a some fill color. I'm probably not going to use the actual Batman colors. I'll just like make it blue for right now. Okay. And, I do want to see the rest of what I'm tracing here. So we're going to manage our layers. And I'm just going to temporarily turn this off for a second here. So we've already taken care of that background. That was ellipse number 1. Now let's do ellipse number 2. Altogether, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. All right, so let's find that center again. We're going to actually do the wings and full body first. Alt. Now your ellipse is going to have the same settings as what we just did. So just be aware of that. And I'm going to have to do some quick adjustments here. All right. And let's try to reset this back if you need to. Let's go ahead and I'm going to put it back down to 1. Okay. I'm going to also go to stroke again, the stroke panel, and I'm going to change it back to the align center. All right. So now I can resize and get this to fit a little bit better. And I suggest you guys do the same. All right. Now to see what I'm doing and to keep this as a guide, I'm going to go ahead and just turn the fill off. I don't need it, but I do need the stroke. I need to at least see that. Let's just leave that on. All right. And use that as a nice little guide for our other ellipses. Okay. You can also use the arrow keys to nudge your selection into place. Check that out. Left, right, up, down. Okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to go to my layers, and again, we're going to manage that a little bit more. I'm going to lock this new ellipse that we have. That way I'll have it as like a little guide here, and then we can put our other remaining 5 or 6 ellipses on there. So right here, this counts as an ellipse. It's fitting right about in here. It's kind of egg shaped, but we're going to kind of adjust it as is. So it's going to take a little bit of tweaking here. It does rotate inward. I would line up with this side right here and then maybe get it to fit somewhere down in here. Just get it as close as you can. Yeah. And then make sure it crosses the edge right there. All right. Won't be perfect, but we'll tweak it. That's why we're going to learn how to edit it a little bit. Okay. So check this out. I've got it, at the right angle. Okay. Here's a neat little way to get the other side. Let's think smart here. So I'm going to take this. I'm not going to hold Alt. Actually, I'm going to let something else help me out here. I'm going to select this, and then I'm going to go to Object and Transform, and I'm going to use what's called Reflect. Okay, well, the thing is, yeah, that's cool. You can reflect it, but it looks like you only have one. But check this out. If you go down to the bottom, you're going to see Copy. So I'm going to have it reflect. So it'll be the opposite angle direction. And then I'm going to hit copy. It's going to give me two of them, and I can take that new one and just hold shift maybe if you want to keep it straight. Just bring it right on over to this side. Check that out. Now, if you want to do it the longer way, that's fine. You can do your, copy it and rotate it and all that. But I just want to show you that there's a better way. Using transform, you can reflect and copy. And we could do that over here too. So I'm going to recycle this. And oh, look at that. That's a nice little fit right there. And then I need to rotate this one and get that into place. All right. Nudge that into place. All right, that's a good setup right there. So I'm going to go ahead and select both of them, and let's do what I showed you here before. I'm going to go ahead and object, transform, and reflect. I'm going to copy it, and I can then take those right on over here. Should it? Why did it do that? Okay. Oh, probably because they're two separate ones. All right. So let's just take them one at a time. No big deal. I know you probably figured out another way, but I'm just going to do it this way. Now I got to make sure that these touch right there because that'll make the tail part right there. There we go. Make a copy of this one and rotate it into place. Again, if you found a quicker way and you're just waiting for me, that's fine. No one way. No one way to do anything. And I think that works. I think that works. So these are what are going to be subtracted from the larger one. Let's I'm going to set it up to so you can kind of see it clearly here. So check out what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go to my layers, going to unlock that other ellipse that we have, this one on the outside here. And I'm going to select all seven. Yes, seven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one for the whole body there. Now, just so you can see what's happening here, I'm going to actually give this a fill color. So check out, I'm going to get rid of the stroke. Just flip that on over to the fill color, right like that. See this little arrow does that, switches. Make the fill available, okay? And just to show you the contrast, I'm going to select these with shift. So you don't always have to click and drag over stuff. In fact, you probably shouldn't. Learn how to hold shift and select the objects that you want instead. So that you can see what's happening, I'm going to make this a different color. I'll just make it this green color. And so by contrast, you can see what's going to happen here, how we're going to start to form or build that logo there. Do you see that black or positive space? And then the green would be your negative space. We're going to go ahead and subtract. Okay, let's do this a little bit differently though. We already know that there is a pathfinder, but this video is going to show you how you can use what's called the shape builder. All right, the shape builder is located in the same place that the live paint bucket would be. Okay, and looking here, kind of look at the things that are around it. If you're in a second column toolbar, I'll go to a single column and you can see where it is. It's right underneath the transform and right above perspective. Okay. If I hold this open, you'll see that the live paint bucket is hidden inside along with the live paint selection tool. Let's choose that shape builder and let's see what's happening. Notice that I had everything selected. So when I have everything selected and I choose this tool, look at what happens and how the everything reacts. Everything that is intersecting is now in pieces. I want you to notice that there's a plus sign. So what this tool allows you to do is unite and subtract fluidly, free form, you know? So I could literally drag right through these. So I want to unite all of these shapes, for instance, okay? I can draw right through them. Look at that. See how they're coming together? I'm just drawing right through the pieces that I want united, okay? There you go. So those are now one piece. Now, the opposite of that would be, of course, to subtract. So if I hold the Alt key, watch what happens when I select this group here. They're subtracted. Let's do the same thing with the ones up here. I can actually start out here and draw through and subtract them that way as well. So the shape builder tool allows you to build more fluidly, you know, instead of having to line up and then use the pathfinder, you can use a tool that will draw what you're subtracting. Now let's do some editing here. Okay. For those perfectionists, you know, you can definitely use your direct select tool. Let me do that again. I'll zoom in. I want to be a little bit smart about this. I've got 2 points here that are keeping me from getting this just right. So I'm just going to bring these in, double click to get them if you need to, or deselect and then select them would be another way to do it. You can also move your handles. Okay. What do we know about handles? We can also use the anchor point tool from the last lesson. That will allow you to move single handles. Okay. Remember, to see those handles, you can select the object with your direct select and then all of them are visible. And then just go back to that tool and start doing your little changes there. I'm going to go over here and do the same thing to this side. So direct select, double click and get that one, move it over. I'll use the anchor to adjust this curve right in here. Don't be afraid to kind of mold and fix your work here. Now, I personally like the curved cowl here on the emblem, you know, so I'm going to actually leave it that way because I like the way the ears are going to look when I bring in the top part. And to do that, we're going to need to add some anchor points to shape this. All right, so let's go to this group where your pen is, and let's change this back to your pen, but let's use the add anchor point when we do it. So we figure, you know, let's take a quick look at the original. So it dips down and goes flat and then comes back up. So that's what we want to try to make. So we need a point here and a point here. So with the add anchor, so let's guesstimate right about here, and let's guesstimate right about here. We can always change their position too. Now I'm going to suggest that you try to select just those anchors or the all of these anchors here so that we can drop the whole thing down. Now, if you're not sure, then watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to select this one. You can see that it's filled with color. I'm going to hold shift, select this one, hold shift and select this one too. And that's because I knew that there was another anchor there. So just check yours and see how many you have. Now, if I just have those anchors selected, look at what I can do. I can use my down arrow on my keyboard and drop all of them down. I'd say right about, wow, that's pretty low. All right. Now we just adjust. Let's go to that anchor tool and let's sharpen the ears a bit. You know, if you really want to make them rectangular, then you can shape them that way. So I can select this anchor and move it in. Now we can start editing and building, folks. That's all there is to it. All right, so I want to bring that handle back up. So I'll select it first and then get that to work. Switching back between tools, now we're really, really working. All right, all right, I want to bring this over, line that up. Now, I think the last thing, I don't want this to be curved in here, although it does look kind of cool. But I'm going to sharpen that a bit. So I'm going to line these handles so I get a nice sharp ear. Need to bring out this one. So corner points, smooth points. These are going to be corner points. All right. If you're having trouble finding these or working with, I mean, you can't mess it up. You know, like I said, it's just like working with clay. You can start over, reshape, and everything. Totally make it different. If you want to add something else that you're like, why don't they have another claw right here or something like that? If you want to add an anchor point and kind of manipulate the shape and you want to make your own emblem, you can. This is your Batman logo now. Okay, so let me go in here and check these points down here. I'm actually not too worried about these not lining up. Again, this is my logo. And let's see, when I turn it all on, there's the new backdrop. I'll turn off the template. There's my new logo. Okay, and we did that with ellipses. We used the direct select tool. We added anchors. We used the anchor point tool to manipulate handles. All right, and we were able to make our own version of this logo. All right, next time we'll be learning to trace Dodge Challenger. That should be exercise 4. And when we get to this, it's going to prepare us for um, one of your projects, the vector portrait. Okay, so till next time. I wonder what this would look like as, let's go nature, actually metal. But it doesn't have anything. Oh, that's boring. All right, so let's go something with pattern. Whoa, that's crazy. Okay. Okay.